I've done a solo episode. Also, I feel like I need to do a solo episode so I can keep you guys up to date on the podcast. And I know we've been adding second mini episodes every other week to the podcast. So I did want to keep you up to date, but also reintroducing myself. I am Van Ondi. I am your host of Best Week Ever podcast. And I am so thankful for you to be here where we discuss and rank who's having the best and worst week ever in pop culture. And as always, at the end of the episode, we go through our favorite song from the early 2000s to 2010. And for our mini episode, we're just going to go through our worst and best week ever. We're going to review and we're going to go back in time in the early 2000s and see how pop culture has been then and how it's probably relatable. We will be digging into early 2000s and talking about it. So I'm super excited for you guys to check that out. Check us out on the Patreon where you can see this unedited, the whole entire video. Or if you want to see this YouTube version, it'll be released the day after the audio release with some graphics. And I'm super looking forward to that. And as always, let's start off with our worst week ever topics. Worst week ever, honorable mention. I have to give it to The Devil Wears Prada 2. Now, if you listen to this latest week's episode of me and Laguna Biatch, Kelly Williams from Beyond the Blinds and Nostalgia and Now, I did hint a little bit on what I thought of Devil Wears Prada. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that it was a waste of time. I'm not saying that my money was not worth it. It was great for me to get together with my best friend to watch this movie the day that it premiered. I got like dressed up. My friend had like the blue sweater. Like we were excited to watch this because 2006 is the year that I graduated from high school. I just remember having my frontal lobe being exposed to just media and fashion. And it was also in the time where I was moving on to New York City for art school, where I worked in film and video production. So, of course, The Devil Wears Prada has a huge impact in me, and it has a huge impact on other girls as well who loves magazines or fashion. Or my good friend who came with me, she's a makeup stylist. Like she does makeup for women on their wedding days, for magazines, editorials. Like we are in this culture that The Devil Wears Prada gave us because of Vogue, Teen Vogue. Like we were living it in the early 2000s. So I was super excited to watch it. Now, why am I putting it on my worst week ever honorable mention? The reason being is because it is the same thing I've been complaining about in movies where it lacks color. I am missing the Nancy Meyer look. We even in the first Devil Wears Prada, we see her New York City apartment that she had with her boyfriend back then, and it just looked cluttered. It looked lived in. It was believable as a New York City apartment. Granted, there was a point where she was trying to get clean water, but just like the walls were bare. You guys already know about the calamari scene. There's a love scene that just did not need to be included in the story whatsoever. But other than that, the outfits were not really hitting for me, especially the ones that are worn by Anne Hathaway. If anything, I was more excited about the assistant Amari, who is in Bridgerton. I loved her outfits way more than the main character, who's Anne Hathaway. So there's just a lot of plot holes, a lot of things that could have gone differently, could have been edited out and maybe allocated that funding into some setting design. As always, I think we need to fund setting designers, and it's really, really showing in a movie that was made not made millions, it obviously made millions in the box office, but a movie that probably did not have a budget. And this is what they gave us. It's upsetting. Worst week ever runner up is obviously Lauren Sanchez. You guys already know how I feel about her in the Met Gala. If you have listened to Monty, mixing it with Monty, I am on this week with her discussing the Met Gala looks. I put her as my worst week ever look. It is just so disappointing of all this talk of this woman who is a co-chair and put in $10 million into the arts, and Jeff Bezos, instead of actually putting that money towards his own company and workers and staff and maybe raising up the wages a little bit or putting, you know, some benefits towards their workers. It's just a flop for me. The look was a flop. It was an everyday nothing burger of a dress that she always wears. So you can go ahead and check out Mixing It with Monty's episode. I'll put it on the show notes. So I'll also put my worst week ever runner up to Rula from Real Housewives of Rhode Island. Guys, if you're not watching Real Housewives of Rhode Island, like, what are you even doing? Honestly, I get it if you're not like a Housewives fan, but I really do believe that if you're gonna start watching a Housewives franchise, it has to be Rhode Island. It is giving me so much life right now. Worst week ever runner up is Rula from Rhode Island. And the reason why she is on my worst week ever runner up, because the receipts just keep on coming and coming, and just more news about her husband having this mistress. And this mistress is, I don't want to call this woman insane because I don't know her, but she seems to be very proud in the fact that she is the mistress in this affair that she's having with the husband of this housewife. And I would never. I mean, raise your hand if you would ever do this. I would never. But the fact that more news of this mistress having more say. It is not AI. If you guys have watched the show, Rula is in denial of her husband having an affair, cheating on her. Meanwhile, this housewife who really could give two shits about the relationship, but she is, I guess, wanting to clear this woman's name because she does look insane while her man is making her look like a fool. It's just really disappointing to see that she is getting all the facts given to her and she still is standing next to her man's side. And we found out that the mistress has 10% minority of the business. Now, what business? Because I thought he was a foot doctor. Orthopedics makes a lot of money, guys, which is really funny. My aunt used to work for an orthopedic doctor. He was super nice. Love him to this day. His the drama between him and his wife, well, now divorced wife, you know, I remember as a teenager just like, really? The foot doctor has this much drama? Apparently, foot doctors have a lot of drama going on in their lives, guys. And it is cheating, it is betrayal. I'm kind of excited. I mean, low key, I should not be excited to see this woman's life being blown up on television, but I'm excited for all of this tea to be shown on Rhode Island. And it's just like, Rula, girl, get up and divorce this man. I really, really want to know, as we're getting to know these ladies more, what is the reason of why she's staying with this man? I really need, like, she has her own business, she has her own money, she has her own job. She was speaking sense when it came to Alicia and her husband and putting in the credit of the household and her situation. Guys, you need to watch this show. You will see why Rula's on my worst week ever runner up, and you guys need to watch this show so you can be up to date. Worst week ever winner, if you listen to me and Kelly Williams, I put Spirit Airlines as my worst week ever winner because they were shut down after filing for bankruptcy. They abruptly shut down the airline. And I told you in that episode that we are probably going to see a domino effect of other airlines probably getting pressured into not only raising up prices, but being more exclusive than inclusive. But worst week ever winner, Delta, for cutting drinks and snacks for 450 short haul flights. Some of the country's busiest short haul corridors fall below the cutoff, including Los Angeles to San Francisco, New York to Boston, and Atlanta to Charlotte. I don't remember the last time I actually had a sit in meal in the States, because internationally it is luxury. But I fly to New Jersey all the time. It can be a 6.5, 6 hour, sometimes 4.5, 5 hour flight. It depends on the um not the airline, but just the pilot. I it's been done before, but those are pretty long flights, especially as I'm getting older and the seats are getting shorter. And you can tell that the staff, the wages are getting cut off, and the funding is not going where it needs to be going, a la the food. And needless to say, it's been a very long time since I had an actual meal in a flight that was New Jersey to San Francisco. Now, flights to Ecuador, I know I went to Ecuador from California, and I didn't get a meal, and that's like a 6.5 to 7 hour flight. I really do think that we're going to see more of these little things being taken away. And even though these little things might be little, it is actually needed in flights that are this long, especially for emergency precaution kind of cases. It's just it's not looking good for flying in the future, and I just have to set in the universe every day that it'll be okay, and that's why it's on my worst week ever winner this week. Let's go on to best week ever topics. Best week ever honorable mention. Finally, guys, we are done. We no longer have to discuss the Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni trial, because they actually settled the day of the Met Gala, which is kind of surprising for Blake Lively to appear that day. I mean, it's not so surprising. She does like her Met Gala event and looks is like her bread and butter. She looks forward to that all the time. But Lively originally filed a complaint against Baldoni, her director and co-star in the Colleen Hoover adaptation back in December 2024. And of course, there was a settlement 2 weeks before the case was set to go trial, more than a year after Lively filed a complaint against Baldoni. Now the stars have called a draw. The terms of settlement were not disclosed. Attorneys for Lively and Baldoni issued a joint statement on Monday saying the end product, The Movie Ends With Us, is a source of pride to all of us who work to bring to life, raising awareness and making a meaningful impact in lives of domestic violence survivors. And all survivors is a goal that we stand behind. As I said, Lively attended the Met Gala that night, arriving in the red carpet just hours after the settlement was announced. And like I said, guys, nothing's going to happen to these two. They're going to continue on doing their thing. I'm not too sure how welcoming Blake is going to be received in this industry. I feel like Justin Baldoni is going to be fine because he is a man, and Blake Lively is going to be fine too because she is a white woman who is in the industry nepotismly wise, and she is married to Ryan Reynolds, and they're both equally millionaires. I think they're billionaires because he owns like soccer and like some Mint Mobile shit. So they're going to be okay. If anything, they are going to be more disliked by the public, the audience, the viewers, cuz this whole thing really it's on that's why it's on my best week ever honorable mention. We are so fed up and over it that I'm glad to see that it's done. Best week ever runner up, I have to give it to my girl, Whitney Levitt, for leaving Secret Lives of Mormon Wives. And you guys already know that this day was coming. I mean, with the Dancing with the Stars and Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, I think season 4, 3, was there was, premiering when she was on Dancing with the Stars, and from we all knew that Whitney was on to bigger and better things. The TikTok star and now actress is leaving the Hulu reality show, and she's been performing in Chicago on Broadway, and she is not going to be appearing in the new season, it looks like. I mean, why would she? It doesn't seem like she's in Utah or will be coming to Utah for a long while. But I'm excited for Whitney Livet. I feel like we really had put her as a villain since season 1, and she's just since episode 1 has not been wanting to be part of the drama when it comes to Taylor Frankie Paul. And guys, hold on tight to the Taylor Frankie Paul news because we're going to hear more of this coming. Apparently, they're thinking of releasing the Bachelorette tapes that was not going to air because of the whole domestic violence with Taylor. But now the judge has really reprimanded both of them, Dakota and Taylor. So it's not really a big, like, hooray win for Taylor. If anything, it just confirms of what I said of what's going to happen to Taylor. Nothing. She's going to get a slap in the hand. And so did Dakota. Best week ever winner. Obviously, I gave it to Heidi Klum when I was talking with Monty. Please go check out that episode to see why Heidi Klum was on my best week ever winner. And hint, hint, it has to deal with her Met Gala look. But my best week ever winner, because we talked about it a little bit with Monty, but not as much as I wanted to, is the Real Housewives of Atlanta. Now, I know I already talked about Real Housewives of Rhode Island, but Real Housewives of Atlanta really threw me all the way back to 2000. When did Atlanta come out? Like 7 or 8? Such a long time ago, but like it really gave me She by Sheree, Nene Leakes, and Kim Zolciak, like their tip for tatter, like their banter. It gave me life when I saw Angela and Pinky going at it. I'll see if I can add it to the show notes. Seeing all of these ladies' reaction, I've never seen Portia's face so gobsmacked. And also Phaedra, if she had popcorn, she would have been eating it. All the ladies were so surprised by this interaction because I didn't see this coming. And Pinky being so defensive. I know there's been a lot of banter online about why Pinky is so defensive, on guard. Like, it kind of makes sense when she talked about her background of moving home to home, not really having stability in her childhood. So I feel like Pinky is always on defense. Like she's always ready to clap back. And I gotta say, it gave us great TV with her and Angela. And you can tell that Angela's like, let's take it back with the tone, you know? Angela is just so great. It obviously pays off being married to Charles Oakley and getting dragged by her kids because she's coming into this table speaking like this to these ladies. I just love them so much. And they literally, Roni style, kissed and made up at the end. I don't know. We'll see next week. But Real Housewives of Atlanta, Sunday nights is giving me life. It is my best week ever winner. And now for my favorite song in the early 2000s. One of my favorite songs back in the early 2000s to 2010. I'm going to keep it inside the episode and discuss The Devil Wears Prada. When I think about living in New York City, I used to play this song on a loop while I was on the subway heading towards my internships and probably 4 jobs that I was working. But it is Suddenly I See by Katie Tunstall. It was released in 2005 and it is a one-hit wonder. It is an inspiration song that she wrote in tribute to female power. So it is very much up to par in The Devil Wears Prada. She was inspired by Patti Smith, who isn't, and it peaked to number 12 in the UK and 21 in the US Billboard, which is kind of surprising because I feel like that song was used not only for commercials, but it was used a lot in movie soundtracks. It was in The Devil Wears Prada. But that is probably one of my favorite songs to put on, and to find out that it is inspired for female empowerment. It's just a perfect close for what could have been great for Devil Wears Prada too. That is the end of my episode. As always, guys, please check this out on Patreon, YouTube, or any of your favorite platforms when you listen to your favorite podcasts. As always, you can follow us on Best Week Ever Podcast on Instagram, and I hope you